Hello ladies and gentlemen, Willie here. Hope you're all doing well. This is still on the old microphone, awaiting the new equipment to arrive. Should be here in the near future, I hope. I just feel after really trying to push the agenda for the Black Lotus change on my channel, I very much want to talk about it and how things are shaping up so far. I didn't want to instantly do a video as soon as the changes were made because we're missing key information, and I wanted to at least wait a few days just to see what extent things have been changed. Let's have a quick look over the blue post. Essentially, it boils down to three factors that affect current botting or gold farming methods. So let's take a look. 1, we're increasing the spawn rate of Black Lotus. Number 2, we're going to add many additional spawn locations in each of the Black Lotus zones, those being Eastern Plaguelands, Burning Steppes, Winterspring and Silithus. And number 3, we're making it so you need 300 herbalism in order to see Black Lotus whilst being dead. Interesting stuff. So the first two were the route I thought they would take. How much are the spawns increased by though? Well, information is still very variable to say the least. Previously it was 1 Lotus per zone on a 45 to 75 minute timer. Now, well, from what I'm seeing, it potentially, this is not confirmed, keep in mind, potentially could be multiple Lotus spawns per zone on a 15 to 45 minute timer, which means there could be 2 or more Lotus spawning per zone according to what we're hearing at the moment. This being very much in theme with how old school Blizzard wanting players to discover things for themselves as well. They've left out the key information like how many spawns, how often they spawn, and maybe that there is even not just more frequent spawns but more overall spawns per zone now. Take a look at this. In original WoW, designers planned Black Lotus around a technical limitation. Only 10 spawn locations per node could be active at the same time in the same zone. We no longer have that limitation, but it gives us a design intention that we can work with. Black Lotus were supposed to spawn in the widest variety of locations, while there could only be one up at a time in each zone. As always, our goal is to minimize differences from original World of Warcraft, and we feel that this is a case where we can follow that design intention in a way that's warranted by modern conditions as well as beneficial to the players. Now, this doesn't explicitly say we're adding another spawn or several more spawns, but I feel it acknowledges server size and the fact that given too low of a supply of Lotus, players will corner the market even if those Lotus are finding their way to the auction house just to keep the prices up. Some players have already even speculated that Blizzard have taken many new spawn points from private servers who, even with lower overall populations, saw it necessary to add many new spawn points. Now, of course, we're still in the early days. These could all be big brain players putting out misinformation to try and drive Lotus price down even further, but there's quite a bit of evidence to currently suggest that many people are in fact finding multiple Lotuses on separate spawn timers, albeit in a very short period of time. I'm also inclined to believe, from what I've heard personally following the update, it does look like many additional spawns means more than 1 Lotus per zone now. As for the question of dynamic spawns, I don't believe that this is enabled. Instead, there are just more spawns overall on a shorter timer. Will this be enough to keep prices low, or even as much as they've dropped to at the moment though? Well, there's another part about this to discuss. See, one of the big methods gold farmers and botters used to track Lotus across their spawn points were level 1 characters that could scout them out. The third change Blizzard made was to make it so you need 300 herbalism to see Black Lotus whilst dead. Seeing it on the minimap is kind of neither here nor there. Your track herbs is turned off if you die and you can't turn it back on if you're dead, so that's whatever. I propose stopping transfers with any large volume of Black Lotus in addition to the other changes to kill off the bots, but this is quite an interesting alternative. Checking Dragonfang EU, my benchmark server, on the same character I used just last week where I could find 30 level 1 warriors across zones for Black Lotus spawn, now I find none at all. Even when I look for warriors leveling, there's only a few of them out there. Guildless sure, but it's a smaller server and they're all different levels, so it doesn't look like there is currently a rush to power level those level 1s in order to get them up and running again at Blizzard's new threshold. Speaking of that, just how high of a boundary is it technically to get these characters to 300 herbalism so that they can carry on functioning as they were before? So apparently this is news to me, to be honest. You can train artisan gathering skills at level 25 and 200 skill. Artisan level professions, even secondary professions, need a level 35 character. I tried to double check this in game, but it doesn't say so on the tooltip. Either way, whether it's level 25 or 35 isn't really what I could see being much of a barrier, to be honest. Both can just be done via level bots using the usual multi-bucks farming methods. Getting the appropriate herbalism level though, I think will be a very big challenge. If I had to guess, if it's done, it will be through instance farming, but it's going to take a very long time to get as many characters all the way to level 300 herbalism. It's not like mining where multiple different characters can level from the same node. 1 herb is always equal to 1 pick. On top of that, you're going to need some much higher level characters to clear out instances, especially the higher level ones, so that the lower levels can safely run in and pick the herbs. Though I suppose this could also just be done outdoor, with how brazenly people have been botting since the big North American realms were unlocked, or at least they were for a short while. And then all this to get level 25 or whatever to stand dead in these endgame zones on potentially how many different Lotus spawns? 20? 30, 40? Not only that, but maybe even several Lotus spawns. I don't see the dead account scouting making a return, if I'm honest. At the moment, we're very much still in the hype phase of Black Lotus increased spawns. Prices plummeted on the announcement, and it was glorious to behold. For me, they went from about 250 to 280 gold on my server to 150 in the same evening, and I know that those numbers are even on the low end for some people as well. Following day, they went up just a little bit, and now they've been going down, but still around 150 or so for me. At the moment, each of the 4 Lotus zones are packed with players, and this will go down over time. And as it does, will those players be replaced by bought level 60s in BOE gear doing laps of the zone 24/7? Probably yes. Anyways, here is nexushub.co, a site that gets its data from the trading values of items from TSM, which is one of the most popular add-ons people use to interact on the auction house. So basically, it's pretty accurate. You can see a few days where things go crazy. That's just when someone decides they're gonna list Lotus for 1,000 gold for whatever reason, but overall I'd say it's fairly reliable. Now here's a 90-day view of EU and NA. Yellow bar for the market value of Lotus, blue bar is the amount of Lotus available on the auction house. Pretty incredible spike on the day of the announcement, but let's move to a 30-day view now. Pretty much as expected, volume up, price down. Moving down to 7 days now. Honestly not sure what's going on in NA here. Looks like a bit of an anomaly with the data there. EU makes far more sense. Announcement happens, people dump Lotus, price crashes. Even now with the volume going down due to less people panic selling, the prices are still very much in decline, albeit far more gradually. It's still early days, but this, at least so far, is a good sign. So as mentioned earlier, Blizzard did not close transfers for people with many Lotus, but following the day of the update, they did close server transfers to pretty much all of the large servers. This is the most servers they have ever locked off transfer wise, done under the guise of controlling the population, which I can certainly get behind, but I have the feeling this is also shutting out transfers with Lotus whilst the market is still in disarray. There will still be gold to be made from transferring with Lotus in the future, especially if they are spawning as many as I suspect, where people will be able to farm vastly higher quantities of Lotus, but now there just may be too many regular players picking Lotus to the point where the prices are kept reasonably low. And this is one of the key changes I wanted to see from a Black Lotus. We need a game where your casual player can encounter and pick Lotus somewhat regularly, and this isn't a discussion about whether a casual player should have access to flasks, because let's be real, a casual player isn't going to hoard Lotus, they aren't going to make flasks to use, they're going to have their day made by finding one out in the open world and posting it on the auction house, because that one herb brings them so much closer to their epic riding, Lionheart Helm, the Devil Sword 2 set, or new enchants. I think there's no way your more casual player values a 2-hour buff over any of those permanent things. And the question is, will there be enough regular players posting them to outnumber the market controllers trying to buy everything out to get the prices up, or to have a chance versus the next wave of bots? This is the real question, and there will be a next wave of bots. That is the nature of the beast, and given Blizzard's current very lax attitude towards people openly botting a number of areas in the game, this could be within a month. I think it will be players at level 60, in bind on equip items as mentioned earlier, doing laps of Lotus zones 24/7. I think the dead Lotus scouts are not going to be a thing anymore. This change has also driven the price up of items like Grom's Blood, Stone Skin Oil, Ice Cap and Dream Foil, because on top of a Lotus you need a crazy amount of these items for each flask, which is the knock-on effect. But you know what, I don't mind it so much, because unlike how Lotus were before the change, all of these are farmable by a single person. I think changing Lotus to spawn as Fel Lotus do in TBC, that being a low percentage drop from many different high-level herbs, would have resulted in what I expect the next wave of bots to be regardless, in addition to potentially having them spawn in dungeons or raids, which for me is a big no-no. It makes them too easy to farm by anyone with just a character that doesn't pull aggro. That's too low of a barrier to entry for farming and would be even easier to bot. It's still early days. A lot of this is speculating based off what I'm hearing in the past few days too. I could be a mile off here, but I think everything I've gone over isn't too unreasonable. That just leaves one question. What about the bot? Well, as heard many times over, people are inclined to believe they're so extremely numerous as they're counting as another $15 per month for Blizzard, but are they really contributing nearly as much as people think? You know what? I'm not so sure that they are. But that's a subject for another video, which I'll be doing very soon. I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you're seeing regarding Lotus, what are your theories, and what do you expect the botters and gold farmers are going to be doing next. And as always, I will see you all in the next one. If you like what you see, give the video a like and subscribe, as there's plenty more to come. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Take care. Bye.